I remember the night like it was tattooed onto my brain, not because something wild happened right away, but because something wrong happened, and I felt it in my bones before I could explain it. It all started with a message from Jaguar Wright. She hit me up, casually inviting me to a small get-together, nothing formal, no flyers, no guest list, just a simple "you should come through." Now, I'd always admired Jaguar. She was different, honest in a way that made most celebrities look like mannequins. So yeah, I went. Thought it'd be a cool story for my channel, maybe a chill night. The house was beautiful, sure, but it didn't feel like a home. It felt like a movie set, like something that had been designed for appearance, not comfort. The lights were warm, but the energy was cold. It was like the place knew you didn't belong. Even the doorman felt off. He was dressed sharp, like something out of a fashion catalog, but his eyes, they didn't have pupils. I'm not kidding. They looked blank, like the kind of eyes you'd see in a dream you don't want to stay in too long. Jaguar greeted me inside, and while her smile looked familiar, her vibe was dimmed, like she was trying to stay calm for my sake. She didn't talk much, which was weird for her. She always had something to say, but tonight she just kept scanning the room like she was waiting for something or someone. Everyone else at the party looked like background characters, too perfect, too still. They weren't chatting like normal people do at parties. They weren't making jokes or getting tipsy or dancing. They were just existing, watching, silent. The kind of silent that makes your ears ring a little. And then there was her. I saw Beyoncé, not on a stage, not behind a mic, just standing at a window with her back to the room, still, so still it almost didn't feel real. I thought maybe it was a wax figure at first, that's how little she moved. But when I got closer, she turned her head just slightly, just enough to let me know she was aware. And in that instant, something changed. I should have walked away, I should have let it be, but I didn't. "Why don't you age?" I asked. The moment those words left my mouth, the air shifted. It got heavy, thick, the kind of thick that makes it hard to swallow. The party around me slowed down like I'd pressed pause on a remote no one could find. Jaguar gave me this look, half warning, half regret, and then Beyoncé turned fully to face me. Her eyes met mine, and listen, there was something in those eyes. Not anger, not confusion, something deeper, something ancient, something that had been around longer than I could comprehend. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. She just turned back around like nothing had happened. And that scared me more than anything. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't at a party. I was in a place I shouldn't have entered, with people I shouldn't have seen. As I tried to pretend everything was fine, to pretend I hadn't just asked a question that cracked something open, I felt it. A hum. Not from the speakers, not from the crowd, from the house itself. Like it was alive. And now that I'd asked the wrong question, it had noticed me. I told myself to breathe, to relax, to let it go. But the truth was, something had already started, and there was no going back. The hallway was longer than it looked. Each step echoed like I was walking into a cave, not a mansion. The walls had art, massive oil paintings, but none of them made sense. Faces blurred, eyes too wide, mouths curled in almost smiles. I tried not to look at them too long. Something about the way they stared back made my skin itch. I needed air or a drink or maybe just an excuse to leave without looking like I was running. Jaguar appeared beside me again. I didn't even see her walk over. She was just suddenly there, quiet as smoke. "Stay close," she said, voice low, "and don't talk to anyone alone." That should have made me laugh, but it didn't. She led me to another room. Darker, smaller, more private. The lights were dimmed to a golden glow, and there were only a handful of people inside, all dressed in muted colors, black, gray, off-white. No one spoke above a whisper. No one smiled. It wasn't a lounge. It was a waiting room, but for what, I had no clue. That's when I saw the door. It was in the far corner of the room, tucked behind a velvet curtain that didn't fully close. Barely noticeable, narrow, old. It didn't match the rest of the house's sleek, polished vibe. It looked like it had history, like it had secrets that breathed behind it. The doorknob was blackened. Burnt? I couldn't tell, but I could tell one thing for sure. It was cold in that corner. Freezing, actually. I took a step toward it without even realizing my feet moved like I was being tugged forward. Jaguar's hand grabbed my arm. "Don't," she whispered sharply. I turned to her. What's behind that? Her jaw clenched. Nothing you need to know. You brought me here. I brought you to the party. That door doesn't belong to any of us. I was about to press her again, but a voice cut through the room. Calm. I'm smooth. Male? Some doors open on their own. Others wait for the right question. Everyone turned toward the man standing near the curtain. He wasn't dressed like the rest. He wore deep navy, almost black. His skin was pale, too pale, and his smile was thin, unreadable. You've already asked one, he said, looking straight at me. Curiosity ages faster than the body. I tried to speak, I really did, but nothing came out. My mouth worked, but no sound followed. The man tilted his head. Still thinking about her, he asked. Beyoncé? He knew. Jaguar stepped between us. Her body was tense, defensive. He's leaving, she said. Now. The man didn't move. He already entered. Even if his body walks out, something else will stay behind. And then he was gone. I didn't see him walk away. He was just there. And then he wasn't. Jaguar pulled me fast, her grip iron tight. We were back in the main room before I could even catch my breath. The music was still playing, but it sounded warped now, off pitch. The lights were lower. Everyone looked slightly different. Like their faces had changed while I was gone, like they'd shifted. I tried to find the front door with my eyes, but it wasn't where it used to be. Jaguar leaned in close, her voice shaking for the first time all night. You should have never spoken to him. Who is he? He doesn't have a name, only a purpose. And what's that? To make sure secrets stay buried. Then she paused. But you just started digging. Jaguar's grip on my wrist tightened. Her nails pressed into my skin, but I didn't pull away. The fear in her eyes was louder than any scream. I followed her without question, weaving through the crowd that didn't feel human anymore. Their movements were too smooth, too synchronized, like they weren't responding to the room, they were controlling it. We reached a hallway that looked identical to the one from before, but I knew it wasn't the same. The art was different. This time, the paintings weren't distorted, just blank. Empty frames lined the walls, dozens of them, each labeled with a name. One of them had mine. Jaguar yanked me forward before I could stare too long. Don't stop, she said. They'll know. Who? What are they? She didn't answer. We kept walking, the hume returning stronger than ever. It wasn't sound, it was sensation. Like the walls were breathing, pulsing, pressing in around us. My vision blurred for a second, and I swear the floor dipped beneath my feet. I stumbled, and that's when I saw it. A mirror. It hung crooked on the wall, but it wasn't reflecting us. It was showing the room we had just left, the strange man standing exactly where we'd been, staring directly into the glass. Into me. His eyes glowed again, but this time his mouth moved. You asked? You're part of it now. I looked away, but the image stayed in my head like an afterburn. We turned a corner and suddenly Jaguar stopped. Dead still, we were at a new door. This one was heavy wood, marked with symbols I didn't recognize. She reached for the knob and hesitated. This leads outside, she said, but once we walk through, things will change. They already have, I muttered. She looked at me. No, not like this. The door opened with a groan, and a gust of air hit me like a punch. Cold, bitter, real. For a second, I felt grounded again, like I was back in the real world. But something was wrong. The sky wasn't dark anymore. It was red. Not the sunset kind of red. Blood red. The air buzzed like it was filled with electricity. I stepped outside, and the moment I did, I felt it in my chest. The hum didn't leave with the house. It had followed me, wrapped around me. Jaguar shut the door behind us and turned to face me. Her voice was different now, flat, almost robotic. You're not supposed to remember. I blinked. What? This was supposed to be a dream. A whisper. A moment you forget. You're scaring me. She stepped closer, her face completely blank. Then forget. The lights from the mansion behind her flickered violently, casting her shadow in jagged shapes across the ground. The hum grew louder, then higher, until it wasn't a vibration anymore. It was a frequency that clawed at my mind, scraping behind my eyes. I dropped to my knees, clutching my head, trying to make it stop, and then I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in my bed. Sunlight. My phone buzzed. Notifications. Normal ones. Emails, texts. No sign of last night. No missed calls from Jaguar. No messages. No photos. I checked my clothes. They were clean. No dirt. No wine stains. No signs I had ever left the house. I ran to my mirror. My reflection stared back, but something was off. My eyes didn't look like mine. And from somewhere deep inside my bones, the hum continued.